Okay, so let's see. Let's be letting a couple more people. Um, Eric, let's kick this off. How about you introduce yourself? Let everybody on this fine phone call know who you are.
Okay. I think I know everyone here if you want to know the truth, but anyhow, thank you for allowing myself and Edwards to be a part of the sharing our experience and supporting clients interested in the CMMC journey. My name is Eric Perlstein. I am the Director of Commercial Cybersecurity here at Edwards Performance Solutions. Uh, Edwards started in 1997 as a project management shop, providing training and project management support. We've evolved, we've grown with our clients' needs. And about 6 years ago, we started following cybersecurity from our perspective, trying to figure out where we fit best. And after winning a couple of nice contracts with some local large hospital systems, CMMC came about, right? Um, I've been with Edwards for almost 11 years now. I've had this role for almost 3 years. As far as the CMMC, we've been through the ebbs and the flows, the peaks and the valleys. And the bottom line is Edwards is one of two companies that provides we are approved training partner, approved publishing partner for CMMC, which means we can publish CMMC material and we can train based on the material that we publish. And we are also an RPO, registered program for organizations, RPO. And then we are also, as of December 28th, a registered full C3PO assessor. So that is our profile, our background. As far as our experience with Cami, Gina Abate, our president and CEO, was obviously a part of the Cami board, as was Brian Hubbard during his timeline here. And currently Sam Bell, who's our CISO, is on the Cami board, or the CA board now, apologize. So again, as far as what we do, what we offer, we work with our clients. We work with our clients who have the need to get into the CMMC journey, whether they're a MSP, a managed service provider, a managed cybersecurity provider, or even an ESP at the enterprise level. So again, we work with our clients based on what their needs are. We have an extended amount of partnerships that we have with MSPs, working with them based on what their needs are, what their demands are. And we've have extensive experience working with some very large system integrators, major hardware manufacturers, software manufacturers, and even within the university system. So that kind of gives you an aperture as to where our clients are today, and I'm sure it's going to open up even more so as the demand increases and the information evolves in support of CMMC.
Excellent. Excellent. And I know you do.
I talked as slow as I could before the Tenacity folks
I
showed.
know, and
I'm not sure if I could talk any slower than that.
I think you're doing a great job.
All right.
There was some link confusion, you gotta love webinars. So I just resent it to them now. But yes, no, thank you for highlighting. I usually spend some more time talking about the organization at the beginning. So thanks for going over some of that. We were formerly known as the Cybersecurity Association of Maryland, now the Cybersecurity Association, which will deepen our ability to do work and serve as a resource center for those in the region, nationally, and globally. We are getting a lot of traction since our rebrand. So we're very excited. And here is Tim. So perfect timing. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Hello, Dr. Schilbach. Sorry about the link kerfuffle, but I'm glad you could join us here.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have the link in my I had a calendar item, but the link wasn't in it. I was like, oh.
It's all good. Eric just introduced himself. If you want to take a moment,
Absolutely.
Hop right into the hot seat.
Absolutely. I'm fully prepared here. So, hey, everyone, I'm Dr. Timothy Schilbach. I've been doing governance, risk, and compliance for roughly about 30 years. for the U.S. military and served as a technical director of the United States Cyber Command for about 5.5 years, roughly, from 2012 to 2017, of which I retired out of and opened up this organization. Panacity LLC is a certified third-party assessing organization, one of the first to become certified. And we're also founders of the CMMC Consortium, and we are also working very diligently as board advisors with the Cyber AB, specifically on creating the CMMC accreditation process, as well as training processes with other licensed training partners out there. So we're here to educate everyone. I spent the last 2 years with thousands and thousands of companies on meetings just like this, and to answer your burning questions, set records straight, quell in misinformation, and I'm looking forward to serving you today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And, today really is going to be the beginning the journey conversation. So we're going to stay, we'll go into the weeds a little bit, but we'll stay pretty high level, and just, again, for those who are figuring out how this fits into their business, that's one of the objectives about this, how we're talking about CMMC as a business problem, right? Not just a technology problem, not just a people problem, not just an administrative problem. It really is a business decision. So to kick us off, Eric, do you want to start talking about what CMMC means to our businesses and to the DIB, and how it will impact businesses if they don't go on this journey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. How does it impact the businesses? We've worked with many, as I mentioned earlier, large system integrators, and while they were doing the research as to, okay, how does this CMMC apply to what their needs are, the DIP, through work directly with the Pentagon, have determined that there's a need, and the DIP is the Defense Industrial Base, that there is a need for cybersecurity representation with all defense contractors. And I'm trying to keep it high and as simple, so everyone's on the same page. And so I understand what I'm saying, okay? But the intention is, it's obviously been recognized that cybersecurity is a threat. It's a threat domestically, it's a threat internationally. And by coming up with this standard, it is allowing Department of Defense to have the comfort that its supply chain is meeting the criteria to protect its data. Everyone here has heard of controlled unclassified information, CUI, and that's the premises as to why the CMMC standard has evolved. What does it mean to your business? The bottom line is, the way the standard is evolving, the decision has been made that if you don't comply, certain contracts that you are a prime or a subcontractor on, you cannot go after the recompete. They are not going to allow waivers. Okay. Edwards met with a major hardware manufacturer about 6 months ago, and meeting with a bunch of their executives at the Fed level. And they flat out asked, what does this mean if we don't do it? And I asked them, what's your market share? And they shared that they have, according to their numbers, close to 45% market share in DoD. And I said, we'll just multiply that by 0, because based on the standard, you're not going to be able to go after any future business if you don't comply. So that raised a brow, and it raised 2 brows, and it really signified, why what CMMC does mean to your business, and while the ruling was going through its highs and lows, ebbs and flows, so many companies were like, well, this is typical government. We'll just wait to see what happens. How does the administration impact how things are happening? Well, the bottom line is, it's here to stay. And we finally got the buy-in from the administration, from the Pentagon, and we are marching forward. So again, it's something to take seriously, and it's a business decision. If you want to drop the nickel to invest in going through this process for your organization, that's what it means to your business. One last point I'd like to make is that you're often comparing it to a CMMI or an ISO decision. as far as the capability maturity model or ISO standard. Often the government's requiring those kind of standards so companies can share that they have a certain maturity level. Okay. Well, the same applies here for the defense contractors. In order to be CMMC certified, it gives the government client, the DoD client, the comfort and confirmation that each organization is going through the cadence and the rigor to maintain a high cybersecurity level standard.
Excellent. And to build off of that, Dr. Schulbach, and also to add to it, what does it mean to our businesses and who can we trust? We know that there's been some bad actors. I know you've encountered some people who have been burned in the past. Yeah, so please share your experience here.
So that's been the hard part. The last 5 years has been a bit of the wild, wild west in this community. Number one, the government can't comment on anything that they're actively working on. The Cyber AB was so focused at growing the initial ecosystem by forming the CAICO, forming rules, working with licensed training providers to get training content and material to create the people in our ecosystem, in addition to the certified third-party assessing organizations, so that we could have an ecosystem by which to assess people by. So they're not out there doing any watchdog items either. So the last 5 years, people have sold a lot of what I would call snake oil, right? Like the old westerns where the wagon rolls into town and they're curing the blind and the sick and the lame and the infirm with these magical elixirs, right? I've seen everything on the CMMC side that is a magic spreadsheet from I'm going to call them out. Compliance Forge is a $6,000 to $10,000 spreadsheet you can buy. Ooh, now you're compliant. No, that's all snake oil, right? I've seen organizations sell people documents that are what I would call like Mad Libs, if you remember those back in the day. It's just a pre-done story that you fill in the name, or it's like the Walmart, legal documents where you're just filling in the blanks with your stuff. I mean, CMMC isn't that thing you can do that with. So as we start getting into inspections this year, inspections have just started. A lot of organizations have already been inspected. I suspect we will find really quickly as to who is going to be a testament to the rigor of what this certification actually is, and the people that you've been working with, how on par with acumen, knowledge, skills, and abilities, right? To be able to kind of pull you through this. So how do we find those people with the proper knowledge, skills, and abilities? The people who have been properly vetted by the government and by the Cyber AB specifically to deliver these types of services to you. It's real simple. The Cyber AB's got a marketplace out there, cyberab.org. If you go there, you go click into the marketplace, and anyone who you're dealing with, if they say that they're a certified professional or they're a certified assessor, or they have something called an RP, registered provider, or registered provider advanced, right, RPA, these people have different skill sets, if you will, to be able to sort of get you to where you need to go. But if they're not listed in that marketplace, they don't have an ethical contract called the cyber, it's the CMMC Code of Professional Conduct, a COPC we call it. If you haven't signed that and you're not living by that, and you haven't been to a class that's been provided by like someone like Edwards Performance Solutions, Captiva, you name it, right? There's a lot of organizations out there. Matter of fact, if you're trying to figure out what organization exists, you can go in and look at the licensed training providers, the LTPs in there, and find an organization and go figure out what their curriculum is. If you go onto Reddit, Reddit's a great place, by the way. I go there a lot as well to get a lot of information. I know a lot of people utilize Reddit, social media, TikTok, LinkedIn, to kind of spread information and evangelize out there, podcasts, you name it. But they list a lot of people who are not listed in those marketplaces and curriculums that are actually not certified to go through. So again, that buyer beware kind of element exists out there. So the Cyber AB's got your best interest out there by making sure that we abide by the Code of Professional Conduct, that we are vetted and validated, that we are properly trained for organizations, right? So hopefully that answers the question as to how do we go find the trustworthy people within the ecosystem to conduct this, work for us.
Definitely. And you missed the big fun announcement right before. We will also be publishing a landing page on our website that does simplify some of the cyber AV information and really helps you do some work with folks who are local, who we know, who are part of the cyber AV group marketplace, but that is, down the street instead of, maybe across the country. So we're really excited to bring that as a resource. So Eric, in working with different size companies, a large company, small company, what are some similarities and then some differences that you've seen in this work so far?
Okay. That is such a great question. And you could think of, you have kids of all ages here. Okay. Because the bottom line is whether you're a large company or a small company, you have to follow the standard and you have to meet the criteria that is expected. The challenge with large companies is that the ability for those clients to identify where their CUI is, okay, is huge and significant. Where do they house this type of data? Is it, off-prem? Is it in-house? Is it a combination of both? With larger companies, you need to look at your endpoints and those endpoints, what do they include? And are they within scope or outside of scope? So the challenge is much greater for large companies. Another challenge with large companies, or actually with companies of all sizes, is the fact that, they often come to us and say, well, is this CUI? And it's not for us, wherever we fit in the ecosystem, it's not for us to tell the client that is or that is not CUI. They need to be informed by their government client, their sponsor, their PM, their contracting officer, or contracting specialist, whatever the case may be. But with all that being said, the challenge of large companies is where's their data, what's in scope, what's not in scope. Large companies often have a lot of what I call movable parts, where they're doing a lot of research development, where they have virtual machines that pop in and pop out. And do those machines have virtual or have CUI data? So if you look at that rigor, that cadence, and then you dial it back to a smaller company, the smaller company, again, as I said earlier, still have to meet the standard, but they don't have as much complexity as a large company. But they have a lot more unknowns. Okay, and we as a consulting organization, need to help people understand what's known, what's unknown by turning over every rock, where that CUI is, what's known. Okay, once you know where CUI is, how is that system being protected through your SSP? And then lastly, how is that item, that endpoint, that asset being managed? And the challenge with small companies is that it's an investment. It's a serious investment to play in CMMC space, if not DoD space. And I've seen companies change their mind about whether they want to pursue DoD business for this very reason. Okay, because it's expensive, it's an investment. It's not a one and done. The one point I want to mention, even with our companies who support the CMMC ecosystem, once we get certified, it's not like we're certified for the rest of our life. We have to go through self-attestation. We have to go through a reassessment with the DIB, and follow that cadence. So it's not like you're one and done. Okay, it follows the same pattern or sequence that ISO or CMMI would follow. So,
Sure.
And the last point I want to make is with small companies, they're the ones where they were more the resistors, where they're like,
Sure.
oh, we really have to do this. Let's just wait. Where the larger companies, okay, they get it. They understand that their DoD business is X% of their revenue. And so they're truly different, yet very similar, because they have to follow the standard and there's no differentiation based on the size of the company.
That's a great point. I remember just hearing anecdotally folks who went out to, I think it was Nebraska at the end of last year, to DOSA, and spoke with a lot of defense contractors, and especially the number of small contractors that still didn't think it was going to happen in December, were not aware of it, were living, I don't know what the reasons were, but it was alarming. It was a very high number anecdotally. So we appreciate everyone on this call just spreading that word. And you know, to the same question, Tim, and then also, you know, what does this mean for our supply chain? Because I think that that is something that a lot of people are asking themselves now as well.
No, absolutely. So, the whole point of CMMC originally, how did we get here in the first place, I guess, is like, let's back up to that, right? So, we really had like our FISMA Act in the early 2000s that really kind of came in, and that was really how do we secure federal information management systems, right? So how do we do federal systems? That got revamped in 2014, but just prior to that, they said, you know what? Our defense industrial base, the DIB, you really need some protections because a few things have happened, right? So in the history of our government, like let's turn the clock back 40, 50 years ago. Typically, everyone would go to a government building, walk through metal detectors, have their bags searched, be frisked, pull things out of a safe, put it on your desk, work on it, put it back in the safe, and leave for the day and be searched, and everything else was as you left, right? So as the government started to rely on the defense contractor or you with more of their data, mostly it was in the aerospace arena and Navy propulsion, nuclear manufacturing areas. Or if you think about it like this, if I got a fighter jet and I'm down in Kuwait, you just can't run down to AutoZone and pick up a new intake manifold, right? You're gonna have to send the plans for your intake manifold to a local machine shop who's going to machine that part for you, that's going to ship it directly to the base for you to go and replace in there, because that's what we do, is we source the materials locally. Logistics are all run locally. We don't, it would be so expensive and cost prohibitive to put beans, bullets, band-aids, and basically our logistical systems where all of our things are. So we got to be able to source those things out there. So you, the defense industrial base, have more information that is much more sensitive out there. We call this federal contract information, or FCI. All information you receive from the government is FCI. Not all FCI is CUI, or controlled unclassified information. And then we have compartments of that out there, which makes it more complex, so that have to be handled in different manners. So backing up to be like, what is my point here between that? So monolithic government, everything's centralized, to a decentralized element to where everyone is starting to get the paperwork. Now we're in the digital age. Now we have servers and email, and everything travels at the speed of cyber. We call that now, right? Just like all over the place so quickly. Within minutes of receiving a document, hundreds, if not thousands of people all across the planet could have access to that information near instantly. It's pretty crazy. So with that happening, we had some data leaks. And I don't know about you, but I don't appreciate $100 billion of taxpayer money to be invested in a weapon system that gets stolen by a foreign adversary, who then just gets to build that weapon system with no research and development, right? So that's the whole point here. And that's what really got us here is that. So around 2012, we got NIST 800-171, which was revamped several times, 2016, 2018, 2020, 2022. We're on a Rev 3 now of that. But CMMC focuses on that 800-171 Rev 2 edition, specifically as written into the rule, which was just codified back in November. And Congress just ratified that actually in the first week of January as well. So that's the reason why inspections were a little bit late to start, because we were waiting for that ratification to kind of go out there. Hopefully that answers the question. I know it was a ton of information, probably more than you ever wanted to know about the history of protecting your information, how information proliferates. You now have that ultimate responsibility of all this new information sitting in your small business. So ergo, we got to protect it because this isn't just something that was created 4 years or 5 years ago. This has been 20 years in the making.
Yeah, no, really.
Tasha,
Yeah,
can I
go
make
ahead.
one last comment?
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. You really hit on the nail. The one thing that also we're experiencing is that from a supply chain perspective with the large system integrators, their contracts are going to start coming out where it may be required that their entire organization and supply chain be compliant.
Mhm.
So,
Well, actually, that is already a requirement, Eric, because CMMC is what we call
Yeah.
a down requirement, right? In DFAR 7012. So
Mhm.
if you receive information as a contract prime, now you choose which information you send to your subs.
right.
So you have the option to sanitize any COI out from it and then send it down to your subs, which would only really require level 1 at that point. But most of the big subs that we see, especially if you have any type of software code, like if you're a developer, for instance, anything
Mhm.
that deals with manuals, blueprints, software code, that's a special category called CTI. So the flow down, now that you have CTI in your environment controlled technical information, now you require that CMMC level 2 and certification, right?
Mhm.
That's the major thing, is that there is a flow down requirement already in the regulation.
Yeah, but
Right.
I guess my point was it wasn't being adhered to or followed
Well, it's not
because
enforced yet.
yeah, exactly. And now
Yep.
that it's being enforced,
Mhm.
those subcontractors need to understand that it is required. So
Yeah.
what's that market share that you have as a small business to support DoD? It's again 0 times 0 if you do not adhere to it. So that's
Yeah.
where I wanted to go with that. So thank you
Yeah.
for backing me up there.
No, that's a great point. And I think, as you guys mentioned, this has been a journey. They've been working on this for a long time. I know there were a lot of changes between CMMC version 1, version 2, especially as it relates to the supply chain. So thank you for just clarifying on that and letting us know where they landed in the final ruling. And then, lastly, so we clearly are very engaged and we have a lot of folks within our membership who are organization seeking certification, right? Like this is something they will need. And we have a lot of people who, live this mission every single day. We also have a lot of cybersecurity providers who are not working within the DIB or currently, but are interested in potentially dipping their toes into becoming a C3PAO or a RPO, et cetera. So what kind of guidance or things can you share to those folks who are considering that option, and where would be a good place for them to get started, depending on where they already fit in? You want to start, Eric? Yeah.
You want to start? Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Well,
makes sense.
well, to answer that question, you really have to look at the investment, if you're a cyber company, and how important it is to you to gain the knowledge of CMMC so you can apply that knowledge and that cadence to your clients. All right. So, you look at the big picture, you look at the investment it takes to go through a certification. For instance, hypothetically as an MSP, if you've got clients and you're providing that type of subject matter expertise, make the investment in getting some of your key people certified. You can go to Edwards, hypothetically speaking, of course, but to get your CCP or to get your CCA exam, get your certification, it's a 1 week class, and you have to take a test after that, and that quantifies that you have that individual has an understanding of the standard. To Dr. Tim's point, all that information is in the CMMC AB marketplace. So, you can do that research. A lot of that is open, but, gain the understanding of what the standard is all about. With 800, 171, and 053, and some of those other type standards, it's important for those companies who are interested to support, who are in cyberspace and want to expand their role to their clients, is to truly understand the certification, get the right people certified, okay, and allow them to be part of your consulting services that you're offering to your client. And then with that, the RPO comes, as does becoming a full C3PO if you want to take that path. But either way, it is an investment. It certainly is an investment.
But the CCA sounds like a good place to start if you're kind of dipping your toes in and you might already be serving this clientele.
Yeah, my light just went out. I apologize. Now, you want to start with the
no
CCP.
Problem. CCP, excuse me. That's right. That's the beginning.
Okay. As a certified practitioner, and then to become a CCA, takes it to the next level where you can become an assessor. You could
Sure.
become a lead assessor. So again, those are the differences. And Edwards does offer both of these training options, and we also have, and we do our training. I'll do a quick infomercial if you don't mind. Okay, we
That's
do.
okay. We'll do it here instead of the end. That's okay.
Okay, all right. Well, we do a virtual training. We offer CCP once a month. We offer CCA twice a quarter, and so if anyone's interested, I included my LinkedIn and my email as part of the chat.
Awesome. No, thank you. And I will say, the state of Maryland is also monitoring the cost of, for many things. They're monitoring the cost of OSCs, but they're also monitoring the cost of folks involved in the ecosystem. So, for example, we have an EARN grant that we can use for a variety of training. So if you are in Howard County and you need either trainings to keep up with that, again, a shameless plug, we helped Edwards out with some of their trainings to maintain their CCPs, but also to go through the CCA training. You can use the funding to help offset that as well. So, and then BCR Cyber is another, kind of provider within that, another one of partners in our ecosystem, and they are also, they also have some money to offset that. So, just keep engaged, keep asking these questions. There are resources. Obviously, it's not the silver bullet. There's not going to be a silver bullet, but we can help offset little things here and there that could potentially add up.
Yeah, and also there are a lot of resources throughout the state too. So like Anne Arundel County has got the Anne Arundel Workforce Development Center, which will spend $20,000 on the skill up program. So if you have people that are interested in your organization for a skill up opportunity, that could be offset there. Maryland has a cybersecurity sellers list, and on the cybersecurity sellers list, they will offset 50 cents of every dollar you're spending specifically on those service elements. And there's a small handful of companies here in Maryland. Our organization is one of the ones that do the Buy Maryland Cyber Credit overall. So, but that's a great way to also offset some of those costs for you. And then anyone that's an EARN provider, whether it's the 2-year institutions, 4 institutions with that EARN grant, can also help offset some of those costs too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that is, the end of our formal program. To again, kind of just give an overview. We're happy to take some questions in our last 7 minutes here. We know that not everybody, are there any offset programs in PG County, please? Yes, probably. Let us point you to the right people who would know that. Thank you for the question.
I would work with your the EDCs. The economic development corporations. Every county's got an EDC. Contact your EDC, maybe through your Chamber of Commerce, and they will point you to all of the resources. When I first started my business in the state of Maryland, I went to the Anne Arundel EDC, and they got us $50,000 in the zero interest loans and all sorts of crazy things to get us started and going, and pointed us in the direction of a lot of different opportunities that we were able to help offset a lot of the costs out there. Maryland is the best place to have a business, in my opinion, right now, because they're the only ones investing in their businesses.
Excellent. Good. Great input. Another question in the chat. Fantastic question. I work for a small company that doesn't manage CUI, only FCI. We qualify to self-report, but would like to get another set of eyes on our findings. So what kind of company would they be looking for to do this?
So this one's a real easy one, right? So the other thing a certified third-party assessing organization can do is they can do something called an attestation. We've been deputized by the Cyber AB to conduct attestations for level 1 or level 2. And that is the requirement under the current Title 32, right? So the Part 170 under Title 32, Section 2002, yay, quoting law, basically states that you have to submit your score into the supplier risk assessment system, and that is a form of attestation. So that form of attestation has got a legal and binding element to it, which means that if your CEO or whoever your fiduciary of your company is uploads that information into SPURS and it's not proper or correct, you could technically be prosecuted under the False Claims Act. So if you don't want to put yourself in any of the hot waters there, best thing to do is to go get a C3PAO or a CCA or a CCP. CCP can do this as well. Anyone who's a certified professional can also conduct a level 1 attestation. So if you got someone on staff internally, they would be the best equipped in my opinion, or you could just go hire a random CCP. Just remember,
Or one from our ecosystem.
or one from the ecosystem, right?
We don't want
Preferably, right, out there. But yeah, that's the best way to go do it. So you could do a
Yeah.
level attestation or a level 2 when you're ready to go to that level 2 self attestation.
Awesome. And last
If I could
talk,
al-
yeah, go
If I
ahead.
could do one other share as an example, it's that I mentioned earlier the relationship and the trust that you have with your MSPs. We work with a client down in Florida who was working with their MSP. MSP went through the self-attestation, gave him a 110 on their Spurs score. And we were talking to a client, and you're like, yeah, can you come and just get another set of eyes on? Okay, so we came in, we gave them a minus 87.
Mm.
Okay,
Negative
so
204, by the way, is the lowest score.
yeah,
The minus 87 isn't terrible.
yeah, but the point being is,
Delta,
you have to be careful who you trust, because
Yeah.
if your MSP says X and it's really Y, I hate to make a joke, but whoever signed that document probably doesn't really look good in orange with holding onto metal in front of them. Okay. So you just have to be cognizant of that, and that just don't get anyone to go through that self-attestation process. Get someone who's qualified.
And Eric brings up a good point
Yeah.
here. One of the things that is a big issue is we call them external service providers in this ecosystem. They're just ESPs. So whether you're a cloud service provider or you're an MSP, or if you have a professional contract with an organization to provide a service for them, whatever that service is, you're an ESP, external service provider. Your external service provider is going to be in scope of the inspection and potentially their assets and infrastructure as well. So this is very important. ESPs have two paths. They can either go get a FedRAMP authorization, they could go get a FedRAMP equivalency, or they can go get a CMMC certification, and that prevents the flow down, meaning that if they're already certified, their assets are no longer in scope of your inspection. So I don't know about you, but if I'm a small business owner and I have a managed service provider, do I want to pay extra money to have them inspected? Because that's what you're going to be doing, is doing that. Encourage or hire reputable managed or external service providers who already have a certification or are already on the path for certification. And if they have a certified professional on staff, those are the people, or certified assessor, those are the people that should be delivering those attestations to you. Do not accept it from someone who is not certified in this ecosystem. I wouldn't accept somebody at a random bus stop giving me legal advice that I would go put my freedom at stake on. I'd much rather go engage with a lawyer or someone who is trained professional, so that, oh, the guy at the bus stop told me that this is totally okay. No, don't do that. Don't put yourself in that position.
Awesome. Awesome. No, absolutely. And thank you. Additionally, in the comments, thank you, Evan, for additional guidance on the FCI. Always good to talk to a contracts officer or a lawyer who can also, again, make sure everything is online. Great way to really verify that. And thanks, Jill, for all your speedy EDA and EDC responses. So we appreciate that. Looking out for the state as a whole. Awesome. So we're really excited to continue these conversations. And Jeanette will give you a little bit of additional insight about what you can expect for us when it comes to opportunities to get involved with the event on May 14th.
Hey, Tosh, I'd like to commend Edwards. We will be happy to be a sponsor for that event.
Sweet. We love early sign-ons.
Great. So I will follow up with you right away, and we can include Edwards on the top of our sponsorship details that are going out to other companies as well. I think that's always nice to have the premier sponsor, or which one you decide, to be included from the get-go. So I'll be reaching out to this group in particular, since we know that CMMC is on the radar here, and we'll connect to get you assigned to either a table or a speaking opportunity, and then we'll also get everyone registered into the online guide that will be available in the coming months, and we're going to sort that by each division, so that will help with groups that are looking for specific characteristics and
Absolutely. So we're excited to continue to simplify it. It will also be an opportunity, you know, to have thought leadership and other things. So it will be a directory, and it will also be a place for us to continue to answer some of these wonderful questions that we've gotten today. Because we know that the questions will keep coming. So we thank a special thanks to Eric from Edwards Performance Solutions and Dr. Schilbach from Tenacity, who are also cornerstone sponsors of our organization. So we appreciate the support and all of the wisdom you shared today.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure, Dr. Tim.
And if anyone ever has any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to the Cyber Association here, and Tasha will connect you with one of the professionals and lateral businesses that are here to help and serve you. Right? We're here to serve our community because we care about it, and we want to make sure that we also choose the people who are representing our community wisely and are giving you the best information possible. So hopefully you can use us as a trusted source in the future, and thank you for your time.
Absolutely. And another thank you to other members I noticed on this call who are part of that ecosystem, including SysPoint, Hartman, and Planet as well. So thank you guys. You're all out here doing the important work. So have a wonderful one.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.